All right, guys, so today is the 8th. We're talking quotient of powers. So make sure you update that table of contents, have that title in your notebook. So warm up. I want you to review kind of what we did yesterday. So go ahead and attempt number 1 and number 2. Pause the video. All right, so number one, I'm going to start with my coefficients. My coefficients are 2 times -6. We said coefficients, we can just go ahead and multiply them. My a's, I have a to the 1/2. I have a to the 3/2. My exponents, I'm going to add them since I have the same base and I'm multiplying right now. So 1 over 2 plus 3 over 2 is going to give me a to the 2nd power. My b's, I have a b in my first parentheses and a b to the 5th in my second parentheses. 1b plus 5 b's gives me 6 b's. So my final answer is -12 a squared b to the 6th. On number 2, what is the value of n? Well, I have x to the 4th times x to the n equals x to the 5th. What plus 4 equals 5? 1. All right, so let's get into what we're talking about for today, which is our quotient of powers. As you can see, that has to deal with division. So on number 1, let's kind of do what we did yesterday. When I see something with all numbers, I'm just going to put it in my calculator. So I'm going to do 2 to the 4th power over 2 to the 3rd power. That ends up giving me 2. Now the question is, why does it do that? Because the reason why is going to help us answer number 2. So let's expand this out like we did yesterday. So 2 to the 4th, how many 2's is that? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the bottom, I have 3 2's. 1, 2, 3. Now, if I'm in a fraction, what do we know about if I see something on top and on the bottom? If I see something that's exactly the same on the top and bottom, I can cancel those out. So I'm going to take this 2 and this 2, cancel them out. This 2 and this 2, cancel them out. This 2 and this 2, cancel them out. What am I left over with? A single 2. So what am I going to do then on the second one? I'm going to do the same thing. I have x to the 4th on top, x to the 3rd on the bottom. I'm going to go through and whatever x I have on top, I'm going to cancel with another x on the bottom. So another x here, another x here, another x here, another x here. I'm left with only one x, which gives me my answer. So let's try it again. On the number 3, I have 5 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the bottom, I have 2 x's. 1, 2. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. 1 there, 1 there. Cancel 1 there, cancel 1 there. How many x's are left over? 3. So my answer is x to the 3rd power. Now, some of you hopefully have already started figuring something out. That is, if I take 5 and subtract 2, what do I get? 3. If I'm back on the other one, if I took 4 and subtracted 3, I got 1. That right there is our quotient of powers rule. So if you don't like expanding these out, well, you can use the rule for our quotient of powers, that if the bases are the same, you can subtract the exponents. Now, sometimes it can get a little tricky. So let's try number 4, but expand it. So I have 2a times a over 6 with 5 a's. And let's do the same thing we did back on number 3. Every a that I see on top, I cancel out with an a on the bottom. I see an a on top, I get rid of the 1 on the bottom. Now, what am I left over with? A to the 3rd on the bottom. 2 over 6, that simplifies to give me 1/3. And this is my answer. So if I was subtracting, how would I know that a to the third needs to be on the bottom? Well, the way you know that is because when you subtract 2 minus 5, it gives you a negative 3. And when that happens, a negative exponent needs to go on the bottom of the fraction. That way, it changes to a positive. Let's try some more. So, number 5, I got my A's. A2 over A1. If it helps you, break it apart, just like we were doing yesterday with our product of powers. A2 minus A1 is A1. B3 over B4. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So this is going to be 1 over B because we want B on the bottom. My C's, I have C over C. Well, those just cancel out. So I don't have any more C's. So what is my final answer? My A is going to go on top of my fraction. My B is going to go on the bottom of my fraction. C goes nowhere, making this my final answer. Now, what about number 6? That looks like a lot. What is it I need to do there? Well, here's my suggestion. Notice that you have that multiplication there. Start out with multiplying the top with the top, the bottom with the bottom, to make it all one fraction. Then, do what we did on number 5. Break everything apart, so that way you can get your final answer. So, on number 6, my top, I have negative 7 x squared y to the third times x times y. I only have negative 7 for a coefficient. I have 2 x's on this one. I got 1 x there, so that gives me x3. I got 3 y's there, 1 y there, that gives me y4. On the bottom, I have 28. I have 1x, so I keep that. 1y, I keep that, but I have z and z4. That adds up to give me z5. Now I can go ahead and start breaking everything apart, just like what I did on number 5. Negative 7 over 28. That gives me negative 1 over 4. Because I divide coefficients, just like my multiplication, I still multiply those coefficients. Okay? Let's try our x's now. I have x3 over x. Subtract your exponents and you get x2. My y's, y4 over y. Subtract your exponents and you get y3. My z's, I only have z to the 5th. All I have to make sure of is that z to the 5th stays on the bottom. So now let's put everything together. So on top, I'm going to have negative 1. I'm going to have x squared. I'm going to have y3. On the bottom, I'm going to have z5. And that's my final answer.